Good morning, students. In our previous class, we were discussing about states of matter, in which we had discussed about the three states of matters, solid, liquid and gas, and how they interconvert from one state to another state, and during their interconversion, how the space between the molecules they get compressed or expanded. We had seen in our previous classes and during the course of these discussions also that solid, liquid and gas can be differentiated by considering their intermolecular force of attraction, that how much the particles they attract each other, how closely packed they are, how compact they are, how much compressible they are. We had seen that when a solid was required to be converted into liquid, we melted it by giving heat, and when a liquid was required to be converted into gas, we heated it further to evaporate that to gas. We had also seen that there were a few solids which can directly convert itself into gas and a few gases which can directly convert itself into solid. These kind of substances or matter are called as sublimable matter or sublimable substance, and this process is called as sublimation. So the basic terms related with melting, that means fusion, evaporation, that means vaporization, solidification, freezing and sublimation was clarified. Then we focused a little bit more on the properties of the gases, in which we studied about how the gases behave by various laws. We had seen that according to Avogadro's law, equal number of gases occupies equal volume at similar condition of temperature and pressure, which in short we can write as volume is directly proportional to the number of particles, and if we take a constant here, so it can be equated as V1 by N1 equal to V2 by N2. Similarly, Boyle's law was written as P1 V1 equal to P2 V2, and we had solved a few numericals based on all these gas laws. Similarly, Charles' law, according to Charles' law, it can be summarized as V1 by T1 is equal to V2 by T2. And if a container contains a number of gases, say gas number 1, gas number 2, gas number 3, and like that n number of gases are there, then total pressure on the vessel or inside the vessel or on the wall of the vessel will be equal to the sum total of the partial pressure of each of the gaseous particles. So it will be small p1 plus small p2 plus small p3, so on and so forth, up to small pn will be equal to total pressure of the overall gaseous matter. We had also seen that pressure and volume, when multiplied, it was just like a work done. If you find out the dimension, or if you do the dimensional analysis of pressure into volume, you will find that it will be same as that of work done, and it is equal to the number of particles at a particular temperature. It was equated by using a universal gas constant R. So PV is equal to nRT holds good for ideal gases. Now the gases which obeys this formula are called as ideal gases. But if we say that how ideal gas is formed, ideal gas is formed based on a few assumptions. Alright. Now there can be some cases in which non-ideal gases or real gases can be considered. Non-ideal gases or real gases. Mostly the gases are not ideal. These formulas are given for ideal condition. Ideal condition means that temperature is high and pressure is low. But it may not be the case at various situations. There can be situation in which pressure will be high and temperature will be low. At that time, the gases may slightly behave like liquids also. Those gases are highly compressible and their compressibility is not unity. So how do we find out the compressibility? How do we find out numerically the value of compressibility of any gas? We know for that ideal condition PV is equal to nRT. So for non-ideal condition PV will not be equal to nRT. So let there be a factor Z which when multiplied with nRT gives PV is equal to Z nRT. Clearly Z we can write as nRT by V, where Z is nothing but compressibility factor. Now for ideal gases, if we draw a curve between pressure and Z, pressure and compressibility factor, then for ideal gases we will find that it will be a horizontal line at Z is equal to 1. Here the value of Z is equal to 1 and the value of Z is taken to be 0.4 to 1.4. It is found that when the pressure increases, then the non-ideal gases, their compressibility factor changes in this direction. First it decreases and then it increases. First it decreases and then it increases. So these values are given for different gases here. For different gases, these values are given. These are the values for the value of Z. This is Z for ideal gas and this is Z for non-ideal gases, for which PV is not equal to nRT. So for that, what will be the value of Z is found out. What will be the value of Z is found out. Now there are a few assumptions made about gaseous particles. These assumptions are termed under the heading called as kinetic molecular theory of gases. Now what do you understand by the term kinetic? That means it talks about the speed of the molecule. Yes, there is a lot spoken about the speed of the gases. Now the assumptions are like this, that in a gaseous matter, small particles of the gases keep on moving continuously in a vessel. Yes, the particles, they are not at rest. They keep on moving randomly throughout the vessel. Second, if the vessel is cold, then the kinetic energy, that means the speed with which the particles are moving, will also be less. But if the heat is more, if temperature is increased, then the particles will also move at a very high speed. So the kinetic energy of the gaseous molecule is directly proportional to the temperature. Next, the gaseous particles are so far away from each other that they do not attract each other at all. And since they are tiny particles, so their force of attraction between each other is also negligible. So they do not have almost no force of attraction between the gaseous particles. Now, if you take a vessel and if you bring all the gaseous particles in one corner and you compress it, you will find that the actual volume of the gas should be much lesser than that of the pressure of the than that of the volume of the gas in the whole vessel. Means the small amount of gases, they occupy large volume. What I mean to say is, if you burn a small incense stick, then you will find that the small smoke, it will spread the aroma to large number of rooms or large space in the rooms. This is because the gaseous particles at a moment stays here and at the other moment can go somewhere else because of high kinetic energy. That means the space occupied by them in real is much lesser than the space used by them in the vessel. It is an assumption which later on was proved to be little bit wrong. Now it is said that when the particles collide with each other, their collision is elastic. Now what do you mean by elastic collision? Elastic collision means that whenever any mass collides with another mass with a particular velocity, alright, so say mass of a particle 1 is m1 and mass of the particle 2 is m2. Velocity of particle 1 is v1 and velocity of particle is v2. Now their momentum is m1 v1 before collision and m2 v2 before collision. Now when they collide, then what happens? They will rebound to some extent. They will not rebound to complete extent where from up to that extent where they started, or from where they started they may not reach there. Okay, but when they will collide, after collision they will rebound little bit. Now after the rebound takes place, after they rebound, then if you find out the momentum of the particle 1 and the momentum of particle 2 and you add them, then you will find that whatever sum of the total momentum you were getting before collision, that much sum of the total momentum you will get after collision. Such kind of collision is called as elastic collision. So it is said that when the gaseous particles collide with each other in a vessel, then elastic collision takes place. Now next, say if you take a particular instant of time, because at different instant the gaseous particle can go to some other place. So at a particular instant if you take, then at different region of the vessel, that means at different fraction of the gases, will have different types of velocities or different magnitude of velocities. Okay, they will not have uniform velocity throughout the vessel. All right, so the fraction of molecule, say for example if 100 particles are there, say then 10 particles will have some velocity, 25 particles will have some other velocity. All right, another 10 particles will have some other velocity, another 5 particles will have some other velocity. So all the particles will not have same velocity. Different fractions of molecules will have different types of velocities. Then how to find out? Then how to find out the central tendency of this data? How to find out that what is the overall average velocity of the whole molecules? It is found out by 3 ways. Okay, one is the average velocity, another one is the root mean square velocity, and the third one is most probable velocity. Now these are statistical terms. All right, now if you draw a curve between the number of particles or the fraction of molecules, in some book fraction of molecules are taken, in some book number of particles are taken, or number of molecules are taken in x-axis, and on the other if you take the speed of the molecule, then you will get a bell curve. You will get a bell curve. All right, now at different temperature the bell curve will be different, but at the top, means at the peak of the curve, you will find that there are 3 values which are close to each other. The first one is most probable velocity will be lesser than average velocity will be lesser than the root mean square velocity. All right, so the first value is most probable velocity, second is average velocity, and third is root mean square velocity. These 3 velocities you will find that they will be nearly the same, not exactly the same, but they will be nearly the same. In your book you will find that there will be a curve drawn like this, if it is visible in the camera. Yes, it is very much visible. You see here that this side the number of gaseous particles are drawn, and here molecular speeds are there. Okay, so this is a rough diagram. Here you will find that this curve is drawn at temperature T1 and this curve is drawn at temperature T2. Alright, now why I have drawn this beforehand is that I can interact with you like this with eye contact rather than just facing towards the board and writing. I was looking at my previous videos that mostly what I am doing is I am turning towards the board and I am writing, so my voice is also not becoming clear and my connect also with you is not there. So most of the things which I need to write on the board I have written beforehand to save time and to use that time in explaining the things more. Otherwise what happens, I keep on writing and I give less time in explaining. So I want to give more time in explaining, and this also you can see in book, you can take a screenshot, so that will also not be a problem. So soon after these theoretical discussions we have to land up to a few numerical problems. Next we were discussing about the distribution of the velocity of the gases. Alright, this was given by Maxwell and Boltzmann. So it is called as Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution of gases. So these molecules of gases are distributed under this curve with different molecular speeds at different temperature T1 and T2, where T2 is greater than T1. So in this curve you will find that this is the most probable speed or velocity, this is the average velocity, and this is the root mean square velocity. Root mean square velocity is also a method of finding out the central tendency of a data, in which we take the square of the items, square of the count of the items, and we take the root of that and divide it by the number of items. It is also a kind of measure of central tendency. This is also a type of measure of central tendency, and this is also a type of measure of central tendency. Alright, so these are statistical terms: most probable velocity, average velocity, and root mean square velocity. Now, in both the curves, what we will see is that when the temperature is increasing, alright, when the temperature is increasing, T2 is greater than T1, when temperature is increasing, at that time what is happening, the number of gases having the most probable velocity and the average velocity and the root mean square velocity is much lesser than that in case of at lower temperature. Means at lower temperature, more number of particles will have most probable velocity, average velocity, and root mean square velocity, and their values also you will find that they are not far away, they are close values, they are nearly close values. ये वैल्यूज बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं है इन वैल्यूज में, क्योंकि ये एक कर्व के टिप का पॉइंट्स है. इसे मैंने थोड़ा दूर दूर इसलिए बनाया ताकि आप लोगों को साफ साफ दिखे, अदरवाइज ग्राफ में ये बहुत करीब करीब होगा. ठीक है, तो ये जो वेलोसिटी है, ये जो वेलोसिटी है, ये जो वेलोसिटी है, ये मोस्ट प्रोबेबल वेलोसिटी, एवरेज वेलोसिटी और रूट मीन स्क्वायर वेलोसिटी टेम्परेचर T2 पे, मतलब T2 इज ग्रेटर T1 पे, जो T1 स्मॉल है, एंड T2 पे ये. इसमें ऑब्जर्व करने वाली बात यह है कि डिफरेंट टेम्परेचर पे नंबर ऑफ पार्टिकल्स के वेलोसिटीज डिफरेंट है. फर्स्ट पॉइंट. सेकेंड पॉइंट है कि चाहे टेम्परेचर बढ़े या टेम्परेचर घटे, या टेम्परेचर ज्यादा हो या टेम्परेचर कम हो, बहुत कम ऐसे मॉलिक्यूल्स होते हैं जिसकी वेलोसिटी बहुत कम होती है, और बहुत कम ऐसे मॉलिक्यूल्स होते हैं जिसकी वेलोसिटी बहुत ज्यादा होती है. ठीक है, देयर आर वेरी लेस मॉलिक्यूल्स which has got very less molecular speed, and there are very less molecules which has got very high molecular speed. This is a point to be observed. All right, see, irrespective of the temperature, these things are common. See, here you will find that the number of gases nearly are lesser, and here also the number of gases are nearly lesser, and this part shows low molecular speed and this part shows more molecular speed. अब इस ग्राफ को देखकर अगर हमें एक्सप्लेन करना रहे मैक्सवेल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वेलोसिटी ऑफ गैसेस, मैक्सवेल बोल्ट्जमैन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वेलोसिटी ऑफ गैसेस, तो हम क्या कहेंगे कि वेरी स्मॉल फ्रैक्शन ऑफ गैसेस और वेरी स्मॉल नंबर ऑफ गैसेस हैव वेरी लो वेलोसिटी, वेरी small fraction or very low number of or very less number of molecules have very high velocity, and the most probable velocity is near to the average velocity, and the average velocity, most probable velocity, and root mean square velocity decreases with increase in temperature. See, it is decreasing with increasing temperature. It is V most probable, V average, and V RMS. So it is higher at low temperature and this is lower at high temperature. So this was the point which can be seen in case of Maxwell distribution of velocity of gases. Now, what happens when a gas is pressurized? किसी गैस को अगर हम प्रेशराइज करेंगे लो टेम्परेचर पे, क्या होगा? लिक्विड बनेगा. तो क्या अगर हम टेम्परेचर को बढ़ाते जाएं और प्रेशर कम करते जाएं तो भी क्या वो लिक्विड बनेगा? नहीं. तो कॉम्प्रेसिबिलिटी किसी गैस का डिपेंड करता है कि उसका नेचर क्या है. तो हर मॉलिक्यूल का एक अलग अलग कॉम्प्रेसिबिलिटी फैक्टर होता है. ठीक है, सो वी विल सी कि वो टेम्परेचर कौन सा है, वो प्रेशर कौन सा है जिस टेम्परेचर, प्रेशर और वॉल्यूम पे एक पर्टिकुलर गैस जो है वो खुद को लिक्विफाई कर पाता हो. ठीक है, तो ये कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड का कर्व ड्रॉ किया गया है। ये है लिक्विफैक्शन ऑफ गैसेस का स्टडी है। एक्स एक्सिस में प्रेशर ड्रॉ की गई है P1, P2, P3, P4, P5 और वाई एक्सिस में वॉल्यूम ड्रॉ की गई है। और जो ये कर्व्स हैं, ये कर्व्स हैं आइसोथर्म्स, मतलब यहां से लेकर यहां तक 50 डिग्री सिर्फ, यहां से लेकर यहां तक 31 डिग्री सिर्फ, और यहां से लेकर यहां तक अलग टेम्परेचर। इस प्रकार से एक पर्टिकुलर टेम्परेचर पे कर्व को ड्रॉ करने को कहते हैं आइसोथर्म। ओके, द कर्व, द प्रेशर वॉल्यूम कर्व ड्रॉन एट ए फिक्स्ड टेम्परेचर इज कॉल्ड एज आइसोथर्म। ठीक है, तो देखा गया कि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड जो है वो लिक्विफाई हो जाता है 31.1 डिग्री से किसी भी नीचे वाले टेम्परेचर पर। ठीक है, अगर प्रेशर हम कम करते जाएं, अगर हम प्रेशर कम करते जाएं तो 31.1 डिग्री सी, ठीक है, पर 31.1 डिग्री सी पर ये लिक्विफाई कर सकता है। ये जो कर्व है, ये कर्व शो कर रहा है लिक्विड जोन, दिस इज शोइंग गैसियस जोन, ऑलराइट, एंड दिस इज शोइंग सॉलिड जोन। ये सब इस तरफ सॉलिड, ये लिक्विड, ये गैस। ठीक है, नाउ अगर टेम्परेचर 31.1 डिग्री से ऊपर कर दें तो चाहे प्रेशर कितना भी कम कर दें या वॉल्यूम कितना भी कम कर दें, ठीक है, प्रेशर कितना भी बढ़ा दें या वॉल्यूम कितना भी कम कर दें, वो लिक्विफाई नहीं करेगा। ठीक है, सो एट दैट पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट इज कॉल्ड एज क्रिटिकल प्रेशर, टेम्परेचर एंड वॉल्यूम। तो ये जो यहां पे जो प्रेशर आएगा इज कॉल्ड एज क्रिटिकल प्रेशर, this will be called as critical pressure, this will be critical temperature, and this will be critical volume. So at critical temperature, critical volume and critical pressure is that temperature and pressure and volume. Critical temperature, critical pressure and critical volume is that critical thermodynamic variable, temperature, pressure and volume, at which liquefaction of the gas is possible, above which howsoever critical temperature is that temperature at which liquefaction is possible, above which howsoever pressure is increased or volume is decreased, the gas cannot be liquefied. ठीक है, तो this was all about the gases. In our next discussion, what we will do is we will pick up little bit about the liquids. Liquids के बारे में थोड़ा सा हमें पढ़ना है, वो है वेपर प्रेशर। क्या होता है? The pressure exerted by any surface of liquid, pressure occupied by the surface of any liquid which is at boiling state. ठीक है, बॉइलिंग स्टेट मतलब क्या होता है? जहां पे वेपर प्रेशर इज इक्वल टू एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर। और क्या होता है बॉइलिंग का मतलब होता है जहां पे रेट ऑफ एवापोरेशन इज इक्वल टू रेट ऑफ कंडेंसेशन। तो एट द स्टेट ऑफ बॉइलिंग द प्रेशर एक्सर्टेड बाय द वेपर्स कमिंग आउट फ्रॉम द सरफेस ऑफ द लिक्विड इज कॉल्ड एज वेपर प्रेशर। ठीक है, नेक्स्ट इज सरफेस टेंशन। जब भी कोई लिक्विड किसी सॉलिड सरफेस के अंदर होता है तो वो तीन तरह का इंटरफेस एक्सपीरियंस करता है। इंटरफेस मतलब टू फेसेस इन कांटेक्ट। जो लिक्विड सरफेस है वो एयर के साथ एक कांटेक्ट में है, तो एयर के साथ लिक्विड का एक इंटरफेस बना, और एयर का सॉलिड के साथ एक इंटरफेस बना, क्योंकि वो जैसे एग्जांपल, जैसे ये क्लीनर है ना, ये जो लिक्विड क्लीनर है, इसके अंदर जो लिक्विड है इसका और एयर का एक कांटेक्ट है, तो एक लिक्विड एयर कांटेक्ट हुआ। ठीक है, दूसरा क्या हुआ, एक जो लिक्विड और प्लास्टिक का जो मटेरियल है उसका एक इंटरफेस है। ठीक है, और क्या है, जो एयर है और जो प्लास्टिक है उसका एक इंटरफेस है। तो ये जो इंटरफेस है, इस इंटरफेस में जो पार्टिकल्स का जो नेचर है दूसरे स्टेट ऑफ मैटर के साथ अट्रैक्टेड रहने का, वो कैसा है। जो लिक्विड है वो आपस में उसका इंटरमॉलिक्यूलर फोर्स ऑफ अट्रैक्शन ज़्यादा होगा। ये जो सॉलिड सरफेस है ये लिक्विड को एडेसिव फोर्स से, एडेसिव मतलब क्या, चिपकना, एडेसिव फोर्स से ज़्यादा पकड़ सकता है, ठीक है। लेकिन जो गैसेस हैं वो गैसेस इस लिक्विड को अच्छे से अट्रैक्ट नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो यहाँ पे अनबैलेंस्ड फोर्स क्रिएट हो गया। इस अनबैलेंस्ड फोर्स क्रिएट होने के कारण, ये जो अनबैलेंस्ड फोर्स क्रिएट होगा उसके कारण लिक्विड के सरफेस पे जो एक टेंशन क्रिएट होता है, एक फोर्स क्रिएट होता है, एक अनबैलेंस्ड फोर्स क्रिएट होता है, उसे हम कहते हैं सरफेस टेंशन, ठीक है। नाउ नेक्स्ट इज विस्कोसिटी और विस्कस फोर्स, ठीक है। अगर हम एक ड्रॉप, 1 ड्रॉप फेविकॉल का ले लें, 1 ड्रॉप मस्टर्ड ऑयल का ले लें और 1 ड्रॉप वाटर का ले लें, ठीक है। तो 1 ड्रॉप फेविकॉल लेंगे तो क्या होगा, वो धीरे धीरे बहेगा किसी इंक्लाइंड प्लेन पे। 1 ड्रॉप मस्टर्ड ऑयल लेंगे तो फेविकॉल से थोड़ा जल्दी बहेगा, और वाटर लेंगे तो बहुत जल्दी बहेगा। तो सबसे लेस विस्कस कौन हुआ, सबसे लेस विस्कस हुआ वाटर, ठीक है। उसके बाद ऑयल, उसके बाद फेविकॉल। तो जिस पार्टिकल का सरफेस के साथ एडेसिव फोर्स स्ट्रांग होगा, ठीक है, वो ज्यादा विस्कस होगा, उसका फ्लो बहुत स्लो होगा। यानी कि विस्कस फोर्स इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द वेलोसिटी ग्रेडियंट, ठीक है। विस्कस फोर्स F इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द वेलोसिटी ग्रेडियंट। वेलोसिटी ग्रेडियंट क्या होता है, वेलोसिटी ग्रेडियंट होता है मतलब चेंज इन वेलोसिटी with change in length of the surface, ठीक है, change in velocity with the change in length of the surface, and it can be equated as F is equal to eta. It is not called as n, it is called as eta. Du small change in the velocity divided by small change in the length of the surface of the liquid, ठीक है। सो दिस गिव्स विस्कस फोर्स। इन 3 टॉपिक के बारे में क्लास 12th के सेकेंड चैप्टर सॉल्यूशंस में ज्यादा डिस्कस किया गया है, ठीक है। अब इन सब डिस्कशंस में जो हमने डिस्कस किया अभी, इन सब टॉपिक्स को एक एक करके और एक्सप्लेन नेक्स्ट मेरे लेसन्स में हम करेंगे, ठीक है। और ये एक पूरा का पूरा अच्छा ओवरव्यू दिया है मैंने, ताकि पूरे चैप्टर में क्या एक बार आपको क्लियर हो जाए, ताकि जब आप बुक्स को पढ़ेंगे तो आपको ये ना लगे कि सर ने ये नहीं पढ़ाया था। इसलिए मैंने हर एक टॉपिक को एक बार बहुत ही स्ट्रेटेजिक तरीके से बोर्ड पे जॉट डाउन करके आप लोगों को समझा दिया है। आप एक बार दोबारा मेरी इस टीचिंग को सुनिएगा और अपने टेक्स्ट बुक के पेजेस को टर्न करके जरूर देखिएगा, ठीक है। मेरे नेक्स्ट डिस्कशन में कुछ क्वेश्चन आंसर डिस्कस करेंगे और काइनेटिक मॉलिक्यूलर थ्योरी ऑफ गैसेस में क्या ड्रॉबैक्स है वो देखेंगे, और किस प्रकार काइनेटिक मॉलिक्यूलर थ्योरी ऑफ गैसेस के जो ड्रॉबैक्स हैं उन ड्रॉबैक्स को वर्कआउट किया गया है, और ये जो आइडियल गैस इक्वेशन है इसको रियल गैस इक्वेशन में कैसे कन्वर्ट किया गया है, कैसे प्रेशर को करेक्ट किया करके रियल प्रेशर बनाया गया है, कैसे वॉल्यूम को करेक्ट करके रियल वॉल्यूम बनाया गया है, और कैसे हम एक रियल गैस इक्वेशन बनाते हैं, वो हम अपने नेक्स्ट डिस्कशन में देखेंगे, और साथ ही साथ कुछ न्यूमेरिकल्स भी सॉल्व करेंगे, ठीक है। तो गो थ्रू दिस फ्रॉम योर एनसीईआरटी टेक्स्ट बुक एंड ऑल्सो योर साइड बुक, ऑलराइट। सो इट विल बी वेरी हेल्पफुल टू यू ऑल। थैंक यू।